All right. Liberating Structures Learning Journey, May 31st, 7 p.m. Central European Time. Bruno, first one. Why? What makes it meaningful, significant, and important?
You get to learn new ways of like working with other people, interacting with other people.
Totally. New ways of interacting with other people. What makes that meaningful, significant? Why?
Why? Because often there's like the big five, and Jeremy, you have to help me there. It's status meetings, presentations, and like a bunch of other stuff. And what's
brainstorm, manage discussions, goat rodeos.
Yes, and depending on what you want to achieve in your time together, there might be better ways of utilizing everybody's brains, utilizing everybody's time, and utilizing the space.
Word. And why does that matter? Why does getting away from the big five and utilizing people's brains matter?
It gives you more options. It invites play.
More options and play. So especially around that more options, what makes that matter?
What makes more options matter? Like you have the choice. Like once after you learn liberating structures, and you see that you're being in like a group situation, in like a meeting of some sorts, and that you're like twiddling your thumbs or like have the feeling like I want to leave, it empowers you to improve it either at the spot or on the next time.
Thank you. So what kind of empowerment is your empowerment?
What kind of empowerment is my empowerment? That has got to be like some sort of confidence. And also like a trust, as in like once you've experienced like the liberating structures like a few times, once you've like practiced it a few times, that they're actually not that complicated and that you can do it too.
Say more about that. You can do it too. Is there anything else about that?
Yeah, you can do it too. I mean, it's like the recipe is there. It just takes like a little bit of time to get like a feeling for it. And yeah, and Jeremy is a master chef.
Oh, if you recognize the recipe is there, what does that make possible?
So if someone recognizes the recipe is there, what does that make possible? Again, I feel like I'm circling, but that comes back to like optionality. Like, and perhaps also you get the chance to like get like leave your meeting partners with like a delightful feeling, depending on the structure, of course.
Yeah.
But I've seen some good.
So what causes that? What? Oh, what? Sorry.
Yeah, I've seen some good results where like people like at first like they like you're facilitating them and it's like a little bit of like, oh, what's this about? This is new to me. It's like a little bit scary, but then after it, like, whoa, like we had so much good conversations. And like especially for somebody who's like an introvert and you do like impromptu networking, like, whoa, I talked to so many people at this gathering, like this is amazing, you know.
Word. And that delightful feeling, like, say more about that.
Yeah, it can be depends a bit on the structure. The delightful feeling. It's yeah, instead of like waiting in like a meeting and listening to somebody, which is like something that frequently occurs. Like there is it invites you to actively participate. All the structures invite you to actively participate, and I think that's just very natural to people.
Awesome. Cool. So we've got meetings that invite you to participate. Sorry, let me start from the top. So the Liberating Structures Learning Journey offers new ways of meeting, gets you away from the big five that uses people's brains, that gives you more options and more play, and that choice empowers and can build confidence and trust that you can do it too. That gives you that helps you recognize that there's recipes out there that give you more optionality and leave folks with a delightful feeling. That even though it is scary and new, that even introverts talk to so many people, that instead of waiting and listening in a meeting, that it invites people to actively participate. So that's Bruno's 9 whys. Do you want to let's you do me?
Love the script. Okay.
Yep. 9 whys.
So
hit me.
Jeremy, the Liberating Structures learning journey is going to go on what do we say, May 31st? Why should people participate?
7 p.m. Central European time. Why should people participate? Yeah, the context is what jumps out to me. To have ways of exploring the complexity around us rather than explaining it to people.
Why is it important to like explore complexity?
Because by definition, complexity has things about it that we don't understand, and that if you think that you can explain those things, then you're going to miss the things that you automatically don't understand. But if we can explore it, then we can sort of find the things, discover the things that we don't know.
Why would you want to discover things that you don't know?
I would say because if we can discover those things, then we have the opportunity of considering them and taking them into consideration and making choices, plans, acting in ways that that don't make a mess of things.
I hear choices and acting. Can you tell me something more about that?
Choices and acting. Yeah. I think in a lot of situations, like, we, like most people, tend to be on autopilot. So to bring some intentionality and to time and space together is a superpower.
Why is that a superpower?
Why is intentionality a superpower? Because it helps us better do the next right thing, right? So rather than getting caught up in my big master plan of what I think the world should be, it helps me like really focus on what's immediately in front of me right here and now, and then to be responsive to that.
How do liberating structures help with that?
Well, I think kind of like you said, is that it gives you more recipes. So, if you're running, this is a bad metaphor. I was going to say, if you're running a restaurant, you don't want to have too many recipes on the menu because otherwise you run into cost problems. But that's a different type of problem. So why does liberating structures help you do the next right thing with exploration? Well, they're instructions, right, on how to have different types of conversations, and those instructions have a different set of biases that are more what you could call complexity friendly or ecologically friendly, that include and unleash everyone, as you were saying, and that lean into that exploratory drive rather than explanation drive.
Tell me more about those biases.
Yeah. So, biases. So when I say bias, I'm pointing at the values that the technologies we use offer us. So, to use Web3 as an example, Web3 has a bias towards decentralization. That's just a value that's built into the architecture. And so by using technologies that more reflect the values that we aspire to, where we give ourselves like a cheat code of like biasing ourselves towards the types of outcome that those types of values, as well as those technologies, make possible.
Why?
Great question. Well, I think there's to the flip side, right? So why is, like you were saying, with the big five, presentation, status update, brainstorm, managed discussion, goat rodeos, unstructured group discussions. The biases of that technology is that one person talks, everybody else is listening. And that you can like my hypothesis is that's like the first, like the most important cultural hierarchy that we create, is the ability that only one person talks and everybody else has to listen to that person. That creates this pedestal automatically of attention. But when we give everybody the ability to talk and everybody the ability to listen, like in direct interaction, we're able to like really distribute that hierarchy. And like give everybody the chance to be on that podium and to feel heard and seen and to express their thoughts, at least to one other person, right?
Why does
that also
matter to you?
What's that?
Why does busting hierarchies matter to you?
Because I think what we're trying, the technologies, especially in Web3, right? The decentralization. So not so much hierarchies, but centralization. The architecture that is brain here, hands over there, so to speak, to ferry information to a central processing unit and then get another unit to do action is actually really ineffective. Like if we can have the tightest feedback loop of possible of like action, hands doing things, and like awareness. Like one of the principles of liberating structures is practice deep respect for people and their local solutions. So the solutions that are right there at the problem, rather than saying, hey, there's a problem over here, and expecting somebody to distribute resources or to, offer something that helps you solve that problem. To have the tools to solve the problem at the problem is a game changer. Just enables so much more iteration.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. So let's see what we got. There's a particular context in like Web3 and events, but what liberating structures are good about is like exploring complexity, exploring things we don't understand. And like once we get like a glimpse of the thing we're trying to understand, we have the opportunity to consider them, and it allows us to like opt out of autopilot and be intentional with time and space. And that's a really superpower that enables us that set us up for like a step in the right direction. And so the liberating structures is like a bunch of recipes, a cookbook, if you will, that has different biases, that's are centered around including and unleashing everyone. And so there's really different values embedded compared to the big five. And so a metaphor we use is recipes. Another metaphor you could use is cheat codes. And also it helps like with tight feedback loops. Actually, liberating structures enables tight feedback loops, and those are effective because like they encourage local solutions and agency. And to do that, it's also important to have deep respect towards the people that you interact with.
Word. So, bam, those are Bruno's and I's. I'm talking to the internet now, Bruno. These are our 9 whys on why the Liberating Structures learning journey is worth your time, attention, and energy. There's 2 moves that I think are available for us. So one is around like drawing together. I think it would be really cool to take your 9 whys and like draw it, and like just use the 5 symbols and sort of summarize it visually. The other move that's available is a 9-word purpose statement. Have we played with those before?
Not sure.
A 9-word purpose statement. Let's use liberating structures as an example. A 9-word purpose statement is like the distillation of purpose, at least in my less than humble opinion, in the most straightforward way we can imagine. So rather than getting caught up in like these long-winded double speak, like corporate style, like mission, vision, whatever statements, to just be like, hey, this exists too. I'm trying to find the template, the blueprint here in the iPad. There we go. So I'll give 2 examples. So liberating structures exist too. So that's our sentence stem that we're going to respond to. Then we're going to put a strong action word, a verb, in the next slot. So liberating structures exist to replace. And then we're going to put in our subject, because that's how grammar works. Our subject that specifies what or who. So what do liberating structures replace? Unwitting practices that. And then what are the bad, unwanted things that liberating structures replace in those unwitting practices? So that would be liberating structures exist to replace unwitting practices that exclude, stifle innovation, and over control. Right? We're excluding these practices, and those practices do that. The flip side of that also is that liberating structures exist to unleash everyone to work at the top of their intelligence. So the first one is a sort of stop and prevent statement, an interrupt statement. And the second one is a more proactive statement. So what do we want to stop and what do we want to do? So if we can think about 2 different 9-word purpose statements, then that gives us a pretty clear, like, help get away from that and go this direction. And from there, we can think about having a vector that sort of directs our attention and energy in this new direction. So we could do 9-word purpose statements, or we can do some drawing together. I've got to run to this daily and get my day started up. But what I would say is, like, any amount of time you can make to make any one of those things, or the sum total of all. Let's like push that out into the world, publish it, and let everybody know that on May 31st, that's a Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central European time, we're going to kick up the next Liberating Structures learning journey, focusing on how to use liberating structures to organize, plan, and host participatory events. We're talking meetups, we're talking Regions Unite, Refi Spring style conferences. We're talking about building collaborative networks where you're at. So bam, that's the advertisement.
And it's going to be 6 sessions, and the last one you get to practice it yourself.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
That's the recital, you get to practice during every session. 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Dope. Awesome, Bruno. Literally got to run to this thing. I'll see you around, man. High five.
Take care.
Fishes.